Because how else can he be one of us? There's so much doctrine and so much theological history around Jesus and being divine and knowing everything and all this other stuff. I'm not sure that that helps as much as knowing that he is one of us. He knows us. His heart beats in time with your heart and mine. And he is also fully human, fully aware of life around him. His eyes are always wide open. And that's why he's able to teach you and me to be like him. And when Jesus teaches us to be like him, there's even more good news. It must be possible for us to be that way. It must be possible for us to be much like Jesus. Or why would he bother with us? God creates us with this full vision from the very beginning, I believe. We are able to see special moments in order to energize our faith and our life. One of the things that's very fascinating, I've said this many times before, if I were starting out all over again, I would want to go into this brain research field. I think the field of neurology is just so fascinating and so amazing. There's a thing that the neurologists have found out about us, and it's called empathetic resonance. Empathetic resonance. And you all have it. No, there's no pill for it. You don't need any medication. You have empathetic resonance, which means that two brains have a shared sense of what counts at a given moment. So you and your companion, you and your friend you're talking to, whatever, you understand at the shared moment, your brains are in tune and you understand what counts. Maybe that's what drew so many people to follow Jesus in the beginning. That when they heard this man and saw him act and saw the acts of healing and the kindness and the love, that their brain connected with him. The neurologists would say, well, of course they did. Of course, they could have shut it off, you know. They could have shut that part of them off, and many did. And we do it today, each one of us. There are times when we shut that off. No, I'm not getting into that. There's a quote I want to read to you from a book called Social Intelligence. If you want to understand this stuff better, read this book. It's a great book. There's a neurological researcher, a psychiatrist named Stern, and he says this: we can no longer see our minds as so independent, separate, and isolated, but instead we must view them as permeable, continually interacting as though joined by an invisible link with other brains. At an unconscious level, we are in constant dialogue with anyone we interact with. Even our every feeling and very way of moving is attuned to theirs. At least for the moment, our mental life is co-created in an interconnected two-person matrix. Mirror neurons, which you have to look this up, mirror neurons ensure that the moment someone sees an emotion expressed on your face, they will at once sense that same feeling within themselves. And so our emotions are experienced not merely by ourselves in isolation, but also by those around us. Our emotions are experienced by those around us, both covertly and openly. So you take the saying that Jesus had, follow me. What does that mean? It means that you and I connect with others and feel more alive ourselves. This brings a whole new understanding to some of the biblical stories. For instance, think of the Good Samaritan story. The Samaritan comes along and makes this connection with the man in the ditch. But there were those who passed by, of course. So here's the man in the ditch. Oh, I don't want any part of that. So who knows what could be wrong with this guy? And they pass by. But the Samaritan stops. This also all points to choices. We can live fully. We can try always to be connected to what we know about Jesus, or we can choose to pass it by and shut it off. And many of us think sometimes we have a better way. Notice the gospel says, a voice from heaven said to Jesus, "You are my beloved, with whom I am well pleased." And clearly, all the people there that day heard this voice from heaven. You are my beloved, with whom I am well pleased. And we are meant to hear it too. We are meant to hear it and open our eyes to this life that God promises. Eyes wide open. Amen. Will you please rise now and receive the benediction? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And what you have learned and received and heard, now do. And the God of peace be with us always. Amen.